Hello everyone. So today we are going to implement this simple interaction with these chairs. So player can go near these chairs and sit. So while sitting, player can look around but can't move. Only if you press E again, player will sit, stand up, so we can move again. So even though this is like sitting on a simple chair, we will be implementing a system that allows player to interact with various objects in the world. So the first thing is this chair. Right, so this is the third person template, and I have just removed the walls around and made this cube that makes the floor a bit larger so that we have this open space, because I kind of like to work like this. And yeah, so this is the default third person character. So I have already imported some of the animations, like this leaning animation and male sitting pose. So these are from Mixamo. I just imported them and retargeted into the mannequin. I have shown how to do the retargeting for the mannequin, so I'm not gonna do that here. I'm just gonna use this animation. So what I want to do is implement in a way to when the character go to some place, we should be able to do some interaction. For example, if there is a chair, the character should be able to sit on it and lean on a wall, something like that. So okay, now to do that, let me first create a folder BP for blueprints, and then I'll create an actor blueprint BP interactable actor. So this is going to be the parent actor of all the interactable actors. That means it could be a chair, it could be a bed, or basically anything that the player or the NPC characters can interact with. So let me open this, and so to detect the interactable space, I'll add a collider, a box collision. Let me place it in the world so then I can get an idea about the scale. This should be fine, but no, let's make it a bit larger. And also I'll make it overlap with the flow. Right, now this is an interactable space. And the next thing is, when character go into that interactable place, we should get a notification like press E to interact. So for that, well, also we don't have any object at the moment, so I'll leave this collider visible. Okay, and let me just create a simple widget, a user widget WTG instruction. So here let me add a canvas panel, and then a text. I'll anchor it to the middle, and I'll set the alignment X to 0.5 so that we can center it easily, and add an offset of Y 200 so the instruction will not appear in the middle. So basically what I want to show is something like this: press E to interact, and this should be centered. So size is not enough, so size X 100. Okay, let me just add some background wrap with border. Make it black. Oh, sorry. Select the border and change the color, not the content color, brush color. Give some transparency. Okay, now we just need to show this when the character overlap, player overlap with this object. So for that, here select this box on component begin overlap. So we should only show this pop-up when the player overlap with this interactable object. We should not show the pop-up for any other character. So to determine if it is the player, let me open the player blueprint. So we need a way to determine if it is the player. So I'll set up an interface, blueprints, blueprint interface, API, character. So the reason I'm setting up an interface is so that we can communicate with the overlapping actor here using that interface without knowing the exact actor that we are going to interact with. So that's very useful. Is player, and I'll add an output that says yes or no. If it returns true, that means we are overlapping with indeed the player. If it returns false, that means we are not overlapping with something else. Now here I'll implement BPI character. Now here it appears the function that I just defined in the interface. So here we can return is player controlled. So this is a default function available in the pawn. This will return true if this character, which is a pawn, is at the moment controlled by the player. Okay, now that I have implemented this function, this blueprinting function here, I can use it like this: is player, and if this returns true, that means we are interacting with the player. So if it is true, we should show this instruction. So how to do that? Let me create widget, and the widget type is WDG instruction. Promote this to a variable. I'll call it instruction widget. No. WDG instruction. Let's use the same convention. And so before we create it, we can check if we have a valid instruction widget. If we don't, we have to create one. Otherwise, we don't have to create one. We can just use it. So get the widget, add to viewport. Similarly, once the player leaves this box, that means on component end overlap, we have to use the same thing. Same logic to check if it is the player that leaving the area, and also if we have a widget interaction and if it is in viewport, that means we are currently showing this widget in the viewport. If this is true, we need to remove it. So remove from viewport. Okay, now let's see. Proceed interact. It appears. When I leave, it disappears. Okay, now if player does interact, so what should happen? That's next. So I'll implement something like this. Keyboard, let's get the keyboard event E. I'm not gonna set up an input action, it takes some time. I'm just simply going to use this keyboard event. And so input events are not working on these actors because it's an actor, but we can enable it if the player is interacting like this. Enable input, get player control. Similarly, we can disable input, get player control. So what should we do if player choose to interact? If player press E, I'll simply just do the same thing, which is hiding the instruction. Let me convert this to a macro. Hide instruction, so that I can reuse the same thing in here. And I'll also add a print so that we know interacting, player interacting. I'll leave it for some time so we have enough time to read. For 10 seconds. Right here, if I press E, we got player interacting in the top left corner and the message disappeared. If I press E again, nothing happens. Why? Because this, if it is not valid, or if this is false, the execution does not continue. That's the reason. So if I link these two like this, we can interact again and again. Play interacting. If I press again, play interacting, play interacting, interact. Okay, now we have a setup to interact with some object. So now I'll create a child blueprint. I'll call this BP share, and then so we need something to see. So what can we do is let me just add a cube. Well, I imported a chair model, this one, so it looks better, but it's not important. You can just use a cube if you want, so like this, but I wanted to make it look nicer, so here, a simple chair. So I don't think we need to have the box in the same scale as before, so I'll place it in a place like this. Also, let me check the collision. Maybe we should disable collisions for now, otherwise character will not be able to sit on it. So yeah, let me just set to no collision. Later on we will enable. So in here now, let me place the chair blueprint like this, and let's see. Let me delete this interactable object. We don't need it anymore, but we need one more thing here. I'll create a function, a custom event start interaction, and also another one, another custom event end interaction. So for the start interaction, I'll use this part. For the end interaction, I don't have anything here. Also, wait, I'll have a boolean variable interacting. I'll set that to true here. And set it to false here. Now let me get the interacting and have a branch. So if when we press E the first time when we are not already interacting, we can call start interaction. Otherwise we can call stop in end interaction. End interaction. Okay, let me quickly check. Things are still working. Yeah. Now finally, to make the character sit on the chair, I'll need to access the actor who is interacting. So I'll promote this to a variable interacting actor. Set the variable here. Okay. Then in the chair we can override start interaction. Override. So we still need to call the parent function to make sure whatever we do in the parent also happens here. That means set in the variable, and then we need to make the character sit. So for that we can get interacting actor So we need to play an animation to make the character sit, and at the moment we don't have many different types of characters. So what's the best way to do this? First we need to make sure that we can play montages. So 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐵_Queen, which is a child of 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐵_Many. In the anim graph we have the default slot. That means we can play animation montages. So then here I'll right click, sit in pose, create any montage, male sit in pose any montage. This should be looping, so it's looping now. Okay, so now we can't just directly play montage because this is an actor object. But what we can do is here we can actually set up interface, but maybe we can just cast to character just for this one, and then play montage, play any montage. So I'll play sit in montage. I'll promote this to a variable. I'll just call it character. Yeah, that's enough. And then end interaction. Oh, we need to have the event end interaction. Of course we need to call the parent, and then we can get the actor. Well, just to be safe, I'll make it a validated get. Stop anim montage. So this will not make the character turn to the correct direction, but it should still play the montage. See, it does, but not correct. So we need to make sure character comes into the correct position. So for that, let me just put this here, can't we edit? We can't. Okay. Scale mesh. Many. I'm just trying to figure out the correct position. So this is 0, 0. Oh, it works. Alright. We can just use the actor location. So what we have to do is in here, as we play the montage, we can again get the actor and get root component and call move component to. So as the target location, we can get actor location, and rotation also can be the same or 180 added to that. So let's see, rotation, and here we only need to set yo because character is always upright. Why did it went below? Oh wait, I think I know the reason. I think that's because this control rig. Well, just to test if that is the case, let me just bypass this. No, that seems to be not the case. So I reconnected it. Go back to chair. Alright, I know the reason. The reason is here. This actor's location is in the floor, but for the player it's in the middle. So this should be actually, can we access the capsule? Yeah, and half height. And add that half height here. Now it should be correct. It is correct, but character is leaning forward for some reason. That could be due to this. Let's check. Yeah, it was because of that. And also character is floating a bit, but let's just scale up this chair rather than correcting. That's good enough. Okay, right now when I press E again, character stands up like this, which is not correct. Character should move forward a bit. So that means we can again get the character get root component and call the component to let's have a 𝐶𝐻 component. Here let's add a 𝐶𝐻 component and I'll call it stand location. Right, now I'll get that get word location and also again capsule component of height at rotation should not change, so get actor rotation. Okay, let's check now. Right, if I press E again, now character is like this. Cool. So sitting does work. Perhaps we should slow this down. This is fine. 1 second. Another thing, if the character try to move here, see, it is still working. So we need to disable inputs movement for the character during this time. For that, yeah, we need to basically disable movements. So here, toggle movement. I'll set up a function. So if this is true, movement will be enabled, otherwise disabled. So here let's implement it. Branch, no, we can get this and set movement mode. You can select based on this enable value. If it is false, that means no movement allowed, so we can keep it none. If it is true, movement is allowed, so I'll set it to OK. See, now, oh wait, I didn't call it yet. So in here, the anime montage and toggle movement, call it with the false. Similarly here we can enable movement. So with the character, toggle movement true. Right, now okay, now we can move. So we can't move while we are sitting. Now I am pressing movement keys, but nothing happens. One more thing, 1 second seems too much. Okay, also sit down, feels a bit too fast, so we can here blend in time, we can increase this and out to fix that. Let's see. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, another thing, we can walk through the chair. We should disable that, but for that we have to enable collisions, which is local dynamic, but then we will have trouble setting. Oh no, it works. Okay, then it's fine. Okay, now all I have to do is we don't need this to be visible anymore, so I'll make it hidden in game, and that's all for today. Press it, interact, sit. Okay, you can move. If I press E again, character stands up and move. Cool. So okay, I'm gonna stop this episode here. So it has taken nearly 35 minutes. Even though this seems like a very simple thing to do, now you see everything that involves it. If you are going to do it properly, you need interfaces and you need to know about quite a bit about how to communicate between actors, how to define interactions, and how to add a HUD. Even though this looks like a basic tutorial, it's really good actually. Okay, it's good for learning. So yeah, thanks for watching. As always, project files will be available for the download in the Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And if you like to support my work, you can get the membership of the Patreon Club. See you in another episode. Goodbye.